Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Money Matters. My name is Hong Lu, and in today's episode, we're actually going to do something I think that's a little bit fun. We're going to be talking about how much your coffee habit is costing you. And this might seem like a really odd topic, but it's actually quite relevant because our coffee habit is, those small daily choices that we make consistently. And if you're consistent on something, it's going to build a bigger habit, right? So it's going to have a bigger long-term effect than we actually really think. The other thing is that there's a lot of sort of hidden factors to consider with stuff like our coffee and our small little things that we take into consideration every day. Like that small little piece of chocolate that we have or the bagel that we have once a day. Okay, and then we're also going to talk a little bit with this coffee habit about the difference between the cost and savings. And that was actually an aha moment for me when I went through this exercise. So let's dive right into it. So let me just share my screen. And while I am doing that, I want to do a big shout out to the individuals that came to the monthly mastermind. We did that last Friday. And so it was a great session. We talked about, tenant screening and how to build great tenant relationships. So I want to do a big shout out to our mastermind group. And if you are interested in attending the mastermind, I will put a link in down below so that you can join. And if you are interested in joining as well, you know what? Let me just bring this up then. So it's on the third Friday of every month. And so even though you've missed the last one, there's still lots of opportunities to come and join the next one. So don't feel like, hey, you know what? I just missed the next one. And so I'm not going to, worry about attending, about planning it. And sometimes, some of us need a couple of weeks or months off on doing this. So let me share the mastermind uh, invite screen. And if you're able to, it'd be fantastic if you can join us on the next month's mastermind, third Friday of every month. So this is the link here. So I will include that in my comments down below. And before I forget, if you are not subscribed to our YouTube channel or our Facebook stuff, please give us a thumbs up and a like and subscribe. It is a big motivator for me to be able to give back during these monthly masterminds and these weekly calls. Okay, so let's dive into why this coffee habit is such an important thing. So there's a book out there called The Latte Factor, and it's written by David Batch. I'm probably saying that name wrong, but it's a short little read. Like you can read it on the weekend. It goes into a different way of looking at this, coffee habit. And if you have not read the book, highly recommend it that you, even borrow it from the library. It's a great read. You may be able to get a PDF version of it offline. Definitely a good read. Okay, so let's dive right into this coffee pot thing. Okay, this coffee habit. So I was recently told that, hey, you know what, Hung, you're using these, Nespresso pods that cost X amount of money. Okay, and it cost me 87 cents a pod. You know what? I actually have one on me because I carry them around. Okay, so these are these Nabisco pods, and you basically use them once and you throw them away, or you recycle them, or you ship them back to the manufacturers and they recycle it. So each pod is 87 cents. Okay. Now I particularly like these ones, this dark navy blue one, but there's red and purple and blah, 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 the different flavors. Okay. Don't get caught up on the coloring. So these pods, okay, are 87 cents. So I go through 4 pods a day. Okay. 2 in each cappuccino that I have. So I go through 4 a day. Okay, so it's costing me $3.50 for my coffee habit. And yes, I can get rid of coffee, but I actually love cappuccinos. And so I spend about 350 a day to make my own coffee cappuccinos at home. Okay. And so I went through an exercise like thinking, okay, if I could use reusable pods, so rather than buying them at 87 cents a pod, if I was to just have reusable pods, fill them with coffee, how much of a savings would that actually be? And is it worth my time? Okay. Because a lot of the things that I do is a time consideration. And that's one of the hidden things about anything that you do. It's like, okay, well, it's a hidden factor to consider is how much is my time worth and how much of my time is this going to suck up? Okay. So in terms of the time consideration, I have to set up the pods, I have to clean them, and I have to actually go and buy the coffee or order the coffee to come to the house. Okay. So that's all the time consideration. Otherwise, I just use the ready-to-made pods. It's super convenient. Okay. So the 5 reusable pods, I was able to get them off of Temu. And okay, so a couple of things. If you I have a Nespresso referral code. So if you're going to buy Nespresso, then you can use this code and I will get a bit of I don't know, some free coffee. And then there's also the Temu website. Okay. And Temu is the Amazon for China, but they deliver to Canada. And I don't have Amazon Prime. So for me, Temu is very competitive to Amazon for me. And so I delay my gratification. So I don't believe in Amazon Prime. So for me to buy from Temu, it totally makes sense because things are just so much cheaper on Temu. So I was able to find 5 reusable pods, same size, everything that fits into the Nespresso machine for $10 for 5 of them. That's like $2 a piece. Okay. So the cost for these 5 reusable pods, insignificant. Okay. Like it doesn't even move the needle here. Like it doesn't even matter. So for a can of coffee, a nice good brand, I'm looking at maybe 25 bucks. Okay. So the blue cells are the stuff that I'm sort of playing with in terms of, okay, well, this is what would affect the end calculations here. Okay. So I'm buying a can of coffee for $25 and I'm estimating I could probably get about 100 servings. Maybe. I have no idea. I've never actually like gone through, filled out how many. I'm not tracking it, which I guess in the whole scheme of things, it's not really worth my time to track it to that level of detail. But I'm just going to assume that I can get 100 pods out of a can of coffee. Okay. So that means that this one can is going to last me 25 days. Okay. You know what? Yeah, that's about right. Like if I was to make my own regular coffee without using the pods and I had a can of coffee, it would probably last me about a month. So maybe 2. Okay. So the cost per day of using the reusable pods, okay, these little mini ones, and buying my own coffee is about $1 a day. Okay. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's a decent savings a day. That's like about $2.50. Okay. So if read the Latte Factor, if you understand this whole thing about compounding interest and, $1 a day for the next 250 days, 350 days, it does add up, right? It's like that joke from that Indian guy, right? The 50 cents here and 50 cents there, you get $1 at the end of the day. And that dollar, you can go somewhere else and buy something else. Okay. I can't remember that comedian's name, but it's a funny joke. Okay. So here's the thing. So I was like, okay, is it worth my time to use these reusable pods and have to clean up the pods, fill them up for $2.50 a day? Okay. So I'm not saving 350 because I'm still going to have my coffee. It's going to cost me $1. So my actual savings is 250. Okay. So that's the first thing to take away from this is that I'm not saving the whole 350. Okay. And when you look at it, like that's one of the reasons why the Latte Factor book is so impactful because it talks about this concept of what you save every day adds up. Okay. So I save 250 a day. So my savings per year, and I think I use 350 days. Okay. So if you want it, you could use 360. 364 to be more exact. I'm using 350. Okay, so this would save me about $868 for the year. Okay, not a big amount of savings over the course of the year. Okay, but here's the thing. If I can find 10 items in my life that I'm doing every day where I could save 250 a day, okay, that $1,000 now is $10,000. Okay. That's one of the big things about this is, this by itself, isn't a big savings. But there's probably other things that I'm doing in my day that I could potentially save $2.50 a day. Okay. Or even, $10 a month or $50 a month. So an example is one of my clients had two Amazon Primes. Okay, it's one person, one family. Why do you need two Amazon Primes? Okay, so that was like $10 a day, $10 a month that because once I found that out, I was like, that is a no-brainer. Just get rid of the one that you don't need, right? Like it doesn't matter even which one it is, just get rid of one. That's $10 a day. Oh, sorry, $10 a month. Okay, so that's one of the great things about this latte factor is that it's a small little thing that when you add them all together makes a bigger impact. Okay, now it's funny because as I was running through this, I was like, yeah, Hung, you know what? This is a first world problem. We live in such a privileged society. Okay, so yes, I acknowledge that this is a first world problem. Okay, and so the whole scheme of things, is it going to make the world a better place? Probably not, but here's the thing. If you take this idea and you can improve your financial situation for your family, you are going to make the world a better place. Hands down. Okay, I just stopped right there. So, the way I see this is that this $1,000 that I save here, I can now take this $1,000 and go buy another product or go do another investment with it. And that will improve my family's life and will improve somebody else's life as well. So, in the whole scheme of things, it may not seem like it makes an impact, but it will make an impact in some way. Okay. So now the funny thing was, I was like, okay, so now I know I'm saving about $868 per year. Well, is it worth my time to actually clean the pods out, get the coffee, and then use these pods, reusable pods? Okay. So let's just say it takes me 2 minutes to clean and prep these pods, right? Because it's just, scoop it out, rinse it, let it dry. And then the next day or that evening when I'm a lot more alert, fill those pods and get it ready. Okay. So for the year, and I use 350 again, I just take my 2 minutes times my 350. That's 700 minutes I'm going to be spending in the course of a year to do it's going to take that much time for me. Okay. So that is roughly about 11 and a half hours. So I'm just going to get this down a little bit. Okay. 11 and a half hours of my life is going to be going to refill these pods. Okay. Which when you look at it like that, that seems like a lot of hours. Okay. So now if I was working and I made $25 an hour, okay, it would cost me about $300 to prep this. Okay, so then I would actually save about $500 of the whole, yeah, 300 from 900. So 600, I would save about $600. Okay. In the whole big scheme of things, not that big of a deal. Okay. But here's the thing. You add this plus 9 other things in your life that you're overspending or that you could potentially cut costs, then it adds up. Okay. And if you could save one or two or even three mortgage payments during your year, that will actually reduce your amortization. Like you can go from 25 years of a mortgage down to potentially 10 years with using all of the other strategies that we put together. Okay. To be mortgage free in under 10 years. Okay. So in this whole scheme of things, it doesn't look like a lot. So then I was like, okay, well, what if I instead of buying the $25 a can, what if I was to buy it on sale? And it was $15. Okay. What does that actually do? So I'm still going to get 100 reusable pods times out of it. So now I'm actually saving $2.88. And it only went up like by $150 or yeah, $150. And so when I ran through this, I'm like, wait a minute, but I'm saving $5 or $10 a can. Why am I not saving more money? Okay. And then I was like, okay, well, what if I just buy the $25 can, but I'm able to increase the number of coffee that I get out of it, right? And I'm getting 200 pods. So that's going to last me about, 2 months. Well, that savings only went up similarly by another $150. And I was like, what? That doesn't make any sense. Like, if I increase my pods by doubling it, I should be able to double my savings. Nuh-uh. Okay, that is where it was like, oh, savings is not the same thing as cost. Okay. And so that was my big takeaway here was because my pod cost from Nespresso is still the same regardless. So my $3.50 is still the same. What I'm actually saving is the difference between the cost of the can or the number of pods. Okay. And the cost of the can is minuscule compared to what the cost of the overall savings would be. So to go from $25 to, 20 or $15, it didn't even make a difference. So what that tells me is, Hong, just don't worry about buying coffee on sale and get the better coffee that you like. Like, don't worry about getting the cheap brands. Okay. Just pay for the expensive ones because it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. Okay. And don't worry about going from, 100 pods to 200 pods. Like, don't worry about only scooping half the pods or, skimming on the little bits because it doesn't really make a difference in the whole scheme of things. Okay. So I might as well stick to the more expensive coffee and don't worry about 200 pods. Like, just fill up the pods as tightly as I can and make sure I get a good serving of hard, strong coffee. Okay. So that was the thing that I took away, right? Like, okay, so as you can see, I'm still learning. And a lot of the times these learnings are like, why? Why isn't that? Okay, so the latte factor. So by itself, it's not enough to move the needle, right? Like, we're talking about $250 a day here. Not that big of a thing. But when you look at it over the course of the year, it does add up. And then if you're compounding, if you're adding in, 5 to 10 items, it does add up. Okay. And the thing is that this money that you save, okay, it's not money that you go and you take and you buy junk. Okay. It is money that you take to pay off your mortgage, to buy another investment, to increase your current investments. Okay. Hands down, if that's what you're doing, then it totally makes sense for you to, potentially do the savings. Okay. Now, the thing is, though, now you also have to consider, well, how much is your time worth? Okay, so here I used the $25. Okay, now for some of you who've taken me up on my offering on some of my coaching stuff, you know that my coaching calls are $250 an hour. Okay, so now this means that even if I spend 2 minutes to prep every day at $250 an hour, that's $3,000. Is it worth it for me to spend 2 minutes to prep this? Like, I would actually lose $3,000 just from doing this a year. So for me, if I was to charge out my full rate, it wouldn't make sense for me to actually spend 2 minutes a day to do this. No, like, I would have to have 3 to 4 items saving like this to even break even on my time of 2 minutes. Okay. So now, how realistic is 250? Well, this is my target on what I charge out per hour for my work. Okay. And technically that's 45 minutes in my 1 hour. Okay. So if I go back to the $25, yeah, okay, $25 would make sense. Okay. But at 250 doesn't. Okay. So let's just say I go to $80 an hour because I was running this earlier. Okay. So, or maybe $75. Okay. So roughly at $75 an hour, that's where it's break even. Okay. So if I was in an engineering job or at a 9 to 5, and if I was making $95 an hour, sorry, if I was so in a 9 to 5 job, if I was making $75 an hour, prepping the 2 minutes, if I was getting paid $75 an hour, I would just basically be breaking even. Okay. So this is where if you're making so the way to look at this is that if you're making $75 an hour or more, then this idea might not be worthwhile for you to consider. But if you're making less than $75 an hour, then it might make sense for you to be doing this by using the reusable pods. Okay, so so as you can tell, I had a lot of fun putting this spreadsheet together and walking through because so now that I know this, now I can make a decision. Hey, do I want to use these reusable pods going forward, or do I want to buy Nespresso pods all the time? Okay, so if you want to take advantage of the Nespresso referral code, I don't even know why they would even have a referral code here, but I do have a referral code. Okay, so it's 55ZPF8. Okay, if you do that, I think I get some free coffee and you get a discount. I'm not quite sure. Okay, so what else can I tell you about this coffee habit? Okay, yeah, the question for me was, is it worthwhile using these pods? Okay, and I just want to make sure that I'm just looking over some of my quick notes here. Yeah, so, I pretty much covered it. Coffee is a small thing that we do every day, and yet it can be a bigger compounding annual impact when you look at it that way. Okay. So, yeah, if you put $800, $900 a year towards your mortgage, it will make a big impact. Okay. All right, everybody. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful week. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.